Welcome. Content Crib episode number 10. Today, we are joined by a very special guest, Derek Berkey, founder of Invigor Medical. He's truly cracked the code on building trust in healthcare, which is why we're here doing the podcast, and we thought we would have him. So through his powerful personal branding, Derek is not hiding behind the corporate speak as a CEO. He's making complex telehealth and compounding topics, one of my favorite topics, accessible while navigating an industry under fire. Derek's approach: show up, educate, constant education. Today he had a great post, and lead with intent, because staying quiet means getting defined by the worst actors, especially in healthcare. Derek, welcome to the show.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for the introduction. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you.
Yeah, thanks, Derek. It was actually Chris who came to me. He's like, no, we have to have Derek on the podcast. He's the man. He's doing cool stuff out there. He's really, shaking it up, and which is, we talk about all the time about creating a ruckus, and you're obviously creating a ruckus out there. So how did you all of a sudden enter into the thought process that you were going to start doing what you're doing on LinkedIn, and how did that all come about?
That's a really good question. It's funny. A while back, I started Invigor Medical. We started working with a company called Influencer Press. It's a PR company run by a guy named Ulysses Asuna, and he's a really good guy. But he was giving us all these opportunities to kind of get Invigor out there. We got featured in a whole bunch of really great articles by Psychology Today, Forbes, a bunch of things like that. We got an ad displayed in New York Times Square, and it was just like a lot of really cool things happening. And I had no platform to show them on. I'm just like, there's all this cool stuff, and I have nobody to show it to, And so it kind of dawned on me. I'm like, I need to start working on my personal brand. I need to start working on building something so that way when these cool things that we're doing happen, I have something that I can share them with, I can celebrate them with, and that we can tell people what we're doing. So that kind of impetus started back in really the beginning of the year. I was sitting at about I'm fairly new to LinkedIn, honestly. I don't know what's good or what's bad. But at the beginning of the year, I started with about 1,000 followers. And today, literally right before I hopped onto the call, I just crossed over 6,000 followers. So essentially within the course of about, what is it? We're in August now. So 7 or 8 months, I gained about about 5,000 followers. And so it's been a complete ride. I'm not expecting any of this whatsoever. I was just kind of trying to figure out, okay, let me get my voice out there and find cool people that want to talk about health and about medications and peptides and compounding. And there's a large community of people out there, and I've learned a lot. I've met a lot of really awesome people, and that's honestly just been my overall strategy. It's just have fun with it and have really cool conversations with people, which is what we get to do today. So I'm really glad.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everything you're doing in terms of education and content creation while also creating a personal brand, it's awesome. And I've been following along for quite some time now, probably pretty close to when you decided to let it rip on the platform we know as LinkedIn. So I wanted you to tell me a little bit more about why you chose LinkedIn over all the other social media platforms.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm a millennial, right? I'm 31, and so we're in the same boat, Chris.
Yeah. Wait a minute, all right? We're not. We're all millennials. Come on, guys.
But so the natural inclination is I looked at Instagram. I'm like, okay, I should probably be on here. But the more I looked at it, I'm like, this just is not my format. I don't know how to start here. I don't know where to go. I didn't know the first thing. And when I looked at LinkedIn, I'm just like, there's a lot of professional things that we're getting into, and there's a lot of really cool things that I think people there would be more interested in. And honestly, as I read the content that was on LinkedIn and I saw what the types of things people were posting on LinkedIn, I'm like, this is more so what I gravitate towards, what I resonate with. I appreciate people that are willing to have deeper conversations about topics, that aren't just willing to boil things down to just oversimplified fodder for the masses. I want to get into the nuances. I want to get into discussions with people. So that's really kind of what prompted me to start with LinkedIn. Is the environment is just, if you want to take it a level deeper, it's the platform for that. And so that's what I really appreciate it for.
Yeah, you said it perfectly as to why I got on LinkedIn years ago when I did it. I realized I need to have a voice in what I was talking about, and I wanted people to hear it, but I didn't want to dance on TikTok or anything like that.
Right.
And that's just not me. But what was the two things? What was the easiest thing you found about LinkedIn and or creating content, and then secondarily, what was the hardest thing you found?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel like the easiest thing was, for me, I guess my general approach is, I just like, I'm not here trying to impress anybody, right? I feel like there's a bunch of different people on LinkedIn. There's people that are, and absolutely no shade, right? Because like we all got to make a living some way. But like there's people that are there for B2B connections. There's people that are there to, coaches for busy executives. That's everywhere. And there's like certain levels of how good ones to not great ones, or and everything in between. But really, it's like a lot of people are using LinkedIn as a platform to earn their living. And I was just seeing it as like, this is just a great platform for me to build my voice. And so I'm just going to have fun with it. Like, I'm just going to let my voice come out and not have to worry about trying to impress anybody. We're trying to worry about trying to like, extract value from people that I'm interacting with, and rather really try to show up and provide value to the people that I'm interacting with. Because like, to me, that's what, like, if you want to grow a presence, or if you want to build any relationship, providing value is like foundational to that. And then at that point, reciprocation, at least the real ones, as the kids say, like the real ones, they want to reciprocate that value back, And so that's really kind of what I was looking for. I'm looking to put value out, have fun, have good conversations, and yeah, it's been a great ride. So in terms of like what's been easy, it's just been easy to engage with so many great people, In terms of what's hard, at the beginning, I was just really trying to find a format that would work for me. I had a lot of hits, I had a lot of misses. It's funny, I remember the first post I ever made that kind of went viral, and now looking back, it's barely a blip compared to some of the other posts I've made. But the first post that went viral was about the Hims GLP-1 commercial from the Super Bowl. And I made a comment about it, and it like, I think I hit 50,000 impressions, which at that time I was just like completely blown away by. And so after that, it's funny, the mindset I had is like, okay, this is a big dopamine hit. This isn't going to happen again for a while. So I took that mindset of like, I know this isn't going to happen again for a while, and I'm just going to continue to tinker with this and have fun. And so that took me a long time. And so that was my first hit, was in January. And then I didn't have another really big hit and my first post that truly went like viral didn't happen until I think it was May or June. And so like, it took me a good amount of time to really hone in my process and figure out like what exactly makes something take off, what exactly makes something go viral. And it took quite a bit of time to kind of figure that out.
Yeah, so we have a mix of listeners. It's our content crib crew that's pretty, in the thick of it and creating content. And then we have kind of the outliers that are posting here and there, but like they just feel like they don't have a structure or, plan of attack on how to shape their voice, but they're trying, right? They're working on it. And then there's a small amount of people that just don't post at all, that listen.
The lurkers.
Yeah, the lurkers. Yeah. You're there. In terms of like approach, planned, off the cuff, somewhere in between, what's your style?
Yeah. It's funny. A lot of times it's very off the cuff. But then I try to add structure to what I'm thinking. So I scroll through LinkedIn and I see all kinds of content that like speaks to me. And one of them was the original post that went viral was the Hims Super Bowl ad. And I saw so many people essentially attacking him, saying like, oh, this is terrible. Compounding is like this terrible thing. And I'm like, there's so much here that just needs to be unpacked and just like completely like debunked and things like that. So I just made like, I had all these thoughts like surfacing in my head. And so I'm like, I just need to get it out there. And so I just whipped something together really quick and put it out there, and it kind of blew up. And I'm like, okay, so this is the format. Find something that is interesting to you. Find something that you're just percolating on, that is like bubbling in your mind. And then since then, I've actually created I'll be very open about this. And like, I'm not trying to hide anything. I use AI for almost all of my posts. Every single post that I make, like for the most part, is written by AI. The one thing that I try to make sure I always do though, is that I'm not just like serving AI slop to the masses, right? I'm not just trying to like, no, definitely not. Yeah. And really, so my approach is I like do a brain dump into ChatGPT of all the things that I'm thinking about that are like, there's so many nuances to this. These are all the aspects to take into consideration. These are all the things that I'm really interested in. And then I use like my favorite feature on ChatGPT, when as soon as I came out with this, I was just abusing it, is the deep research function. And I'm like, now just like find everything you can on this topic. And it's like, what kind of sources do you want? I'm like, I want the highest clinical data. I want things that are empirically backed. I want things that are done in randomized human control trials. Like I want the most significant data that actually means something to not back what I'm saying, but to understand what the reality of the situation is. And then from there, I actually have a pretty set sequence of how I make a post. And I'm more than happy to share it here as well. Basically, as soon as I get that deep research back, I tell it, okay, cool. Now give me the 10 most surprising and impactful points from what you just found. And so it gives me this list of like these really hard hitting facts of like, and I try to make sure it's specific facts. Like it's either a stat or it's like some sort of number of some kind. Cause like we want concrete, like as humans, we want something concrete that we can latch onto. So it gives me these 10 like really surprising facts. From there, I then craft a hook that utilizes one of those really surprising facts that then draws them in, and then build the rest of the post from there. And really, like, it's been a huge success. Like I've had quite a few. In fact, I have one recently that's really taken off. That's really taken off, and it's using this format, taking things like research studies that I see from like examine.com or from other, really credible sources, and really digging into it, and then creating a post that unpacks it, not in a headline kind of way, but more of like, here's what this actually means. Here's the actual practical application of what this study can mean for your practice or for you personally in your health or for any number of things. So that's kind of my process. And it seems like a lot of people have gotten a lot of value from it. And so I'm just like, oh, let's just keep doing it.
Yeah, because it's one of the things that we talk about a lot is, there's this thing called the dead internet theory where, 90% of what the internet is AI talking to AI about AI. And, but I don't, when I'm reading your content, I don't know at all. 'Cause obviously you must put your own personal spin on a lot of it, and which is great. But that's one to get, since you brought up AI, I want to get your opinion on this. Do you think we see the day where we hit a button and AI does all of our posting for us and takes care of everything? Or what are your feelings about that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I remember in one of the first episodes, you brought up the dead internet theory, and it really got me thinking. I think,
So it's like every other episode at this point, but
yeah. I think the dead internet theory is true in the sense of, and I'd probably call it more of like the dead internet hypothesis, because like we don't actually know for sure. But like this is Derek's dead internet theory or hypothesis, is that when it's a chatbot talking to a chatbot that's just creating AI slop, that's just creating spam that none of us want to have to deal with, then that's now taken up 80% of the internet, and it's just all that's going on, and it's completely separate from what humans are doing. But when you think about how AI works, it's incredibly iterative. So it doesn't have necessarily any original thoughts of its own. Literally everything that it does is pulling from another source and iterating on it one way or the other. And really, like, people that complain about AI art they shouldn't be necessarily complaining so much about that it's stealing from other people. They should be complaining about that it's iterative, but that's a whole different discussion. But essentially where I'm going with this is that humankind is so diverse. Humankind is so, like, each one of us are so unique, not to get into the snowflake mentality, but like each one of us has such a different approach to life that all you have to do is like put your own thoughts and your own life experiences into this thing, and then it will iterate on that. And like if you think about the number of it's almost a limitless number of combinations of things that exist in the world and your experiences. It like there's no way, even if AI ran for 100 years, that it could finish every single one of those combinations. Like, so that's more the approach that I take with it. Is it's like, if you can utilize AI as a tool to amplify your voice and not as just like a replacement for your voice, it actually makes you so much more influential. It makes you so much more impactful, because you can, and this is what I've seen as well. Like, I would not literally, like, the amount of hours I would have to spend to make the posts that I have made on my own would have been prohibited. It would have been in the thousands of hours. And I've been able to do it basically just like in my off time. And I'm able to still provide a ton of value, because like maybe somebody else doesn't want to spend that off time to do the same thing that I'm doing, or doesn't have the same unique perspective that I have. And so that's kind of how I see it. So I think that, yeah, there's 80% of the internet that's dead. That's just bots talking to bots. But as soon as you insert that human element, you create this level of variety and uniqueness that literally can never be found anywhere else.
Yeah, that's a great answer, because I totally agree with you. I think this is a huge opportunity right now. Obviously, AI is great for ideating and helping you create, frameworks on around what you want to do. But the minute you inject a little bit of human element in there, which, and I'll go down a deeper hole, I don't think the other platforms do it very well. I think Instagram and TikTok and a lot of those are just, I mean, it seems like it's all AI based. And what's interesting is, I think, and I said I posted this a little while ago, but YouTube now won't let you monetize AI driven content, which is it's a huge game changer. I mean, because it just, obviously, original, genuine content is going to be what those are, obviously at least what YouTube is going to be pushing. So we'll see what the other platforms do. Who knows? Maybe that's coming next for them.
I hope they follow.
Well, you brought up a good topic. Eric, about monetizing and money. And I want to touch on this, because there's a lot of people out there that think to themselves, well, I don't want to post on LinkedIn. Like, what am I going to get out of it? Am I going to get paid? Am I going to make money off this? And I wanted to ask you, what's been your biggest, ROI, monetarily or not, moment from showing up consistently?
Really, it's just, I think it's just the networking, honestly, like just being able to connect with so many people and have opportunities just like land in my lap that would have never happened otherwise. Yeah, honestly, like when I saw that question, I was kind of like, what is the biggest ROI? And it's the cliche, 80s answer. It's the friends we've made along the way, it's like, but like, honestly, that's how I feel. It's like there's having so many great people in my network, so many people that I've met, and be able to like just talk to anytime I want, that are just like these resources of knowledge, is just like a huge privilege in my mind.
That's why I'm on it. I can't even put an ROI on what I've gotten out of LinkedIn. Just the, people that I have done business with, to the people that, I will be doing business with in the future. I would have never known Chris if it wasn't for LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
there's,
Likewise.
yeah, right. Well, none of us would have known each other for sure. Yeah. So it's pretty interesting. Where do you see the future for you, Derek? I mean, what is this all, what are you striving for as you keep, on your content journey?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm just continuing to try and like, finding my voice is a continuous thing, right? Like right now, it kind of looks like I just find really cool studies, and I share that. Um, like for me, the thing that really drives a lot of this is actually like I've been in the healthcare field for over a decade now. And I actually started, I like, it's funny, somebody called me out for being in such a like cushy job of CEO, and you really need to spend more time out in the field. And like, you're just making all these decisions from your office and you're so far removed from everybody. Um, Little do they know that like I started my career as a caregiver, working 16-hour days, completely understaffed, like seeing people lose their minds to dementia, people who were completely capable before, like having to sit in their own feces for 30 minutes while they wait for someone to show up. Um, and like that completely changed how I viewed healthcare. And I'm really, really glad that I started there. Um, I don't know where this is going to be in my future, but like health span and longevity and anti-aging, all that of trying to make people's lives better as we reach the end. That's a huge part of my mission. And so I'm really still trying to discover like, how can I continue to push that mission forward? Because I've seen it firsthand. And I started as a caregiver. I worked in physical therapy as an aide. I worked at a addiction therapy clinic where I help people get off of heroin and fentanyl. I worked at a prosthetics clinic where I saw people in their later years literally lose limbs to diabetic neuropathy. It's just so like I've seen this full gambit of how not like bad health can affect us in our later years on so many different fronts. And so I'm just trying to figure out how can we make sure that we get as many people across that finish line, kind of at the end of our lives that are living the best that they possibly can. And so I'm still very much in the process of discovery there. And, but that really is my mission, is I want to try to help as many people there as I possibly can.
Yeah, I think in terms of what you're doing at Invigor and with telehealth and educating on compounding and supplements and studies, and I want to get into further into that, but I first wanted to get your take on how you're building your personal brand ties into building trust in the healthcare and how that's building to also grow your business.
Yeah. I think you included this kind of in the intro. I think that the personal brand is so important to any kind of business, right? Because people want to do business with people. People don't want to like, they see a corporation and like their guard immediately goes up. They're like, you're some corporate that just wants to sell me. But like, if they know like, hey, no, Derek is like, he's not just trying to get me on some pill. He talks about like the simple things that work all the time. Like if I had one drum to beat, it's like, this doesn't have to be complicated. This is so easy. Like you just need to do a little bit of resistance training. You just need to make sure you're eating enough protein and fiber and like real
canned chicken, right? Best value out there.
100%, And so like but if they know like he's not just trying to push these drugs or pill on me, like he's all about lifestyle, then when it comes time for another like medical intervention to actually show up, then they might actually take it seriously. They might actually, you'd be like, no, actually this could be good. Like example, like Samorelin, for example, it's a peptide that a lot of people might not know about. But I feel like could help so many. In fact, we've had so many patients come in. One in particular comes to mind, and obviously I won't share any info, but like, they were experiencing osteoporosis and actually reversed their osteoporosis because they were taking Samorelin. Like, and like, to me, that is it's such a game changer to be able to basically be anti-fragile in the sense of like, you're protecting your body as you continue to age. And so like, Samorelin is like absolutely one of my favorites in terms of being able to increase lean muscle mass, being able to increase tendon strength and increase bone density and those kinds of things that like if more people as they age actually knew about it, could improve their quality of life. So, but like if you're only taking Samorelin and you're not exercising and you're not, walking on a regular basis and you're not, eating the right food, it's not going to move the needle. You're just going to be sitting in the same spot and you're going to be like saying, why isn't this working? But it's like, it only works if you do the work. But when you're doing the work in combination with this therapy, like the results can be absolutely astounding. So, but that's a bit of a tangent. I think that going back as well to like, why is it important to get your voice out there, and to essentially represent your brand, is that there are so many bad actors that are out there. These research chemical, like specifically in the compounding space and the peptide space, you have these research chemical websites that are pushing these, I should not throw around unapproved. I'm really worried that Scott Bruner will come after me. And let's put down the slide, the bad hammer. Specifically, like,
Medicare not FDA approved for human use.
Yeah, and not FDA approved for human use on the FDA's do not compound list, right? And it's like if you're finding this on a site, then it's like most likely they're not getting that from a legit source. They're probably it's probably sitting in some 50-gallon drum in their garage, right?
They're allowed to cut corners because there's no regulations.
100%. And so like, if you don't speak up, your industry is going to be defined by those people that then cause all of these terrible things to happen. So yeah, it's definitely something I'm very passionate about.
Well, tell us what are the big happenings with Invigor and where you see the next year or two going for you. I think, we're really only in like the third inning in terms of telehealth, and it has had a big, they've had a pretty big first few innings, to say the least, with the GLP-1s exploding. But what's going on with Invigor, and any things you want to talk about?
Yeah, with Invigor, we're honestly just kind of staying the course. It's not really a sexy answer at the moment. We have some other endeavors that we're trying to get launched at the moment, that aren't really quite at the stage where I can announce them yet. But it's definitely something to be looking out for. But in terms of Invigor, we're just trying to double down on what works, and like trying to make sure that we're making our customer service even better. We're trying to make sure that our telehealth partners, that partnership is really good, and that the workflows through there are going really well. Honestly, about last year, we just started partnering with a company called Dr. Telex, and they've been phenomenal to work with. And it's been really awesome to be able to see the kind of level of care that they're able to provide to our patients. And so really just doubling down on that. In terms of anything else, I don't necessarily have anything more concrete to share with the world until it's like ready to go. So, but no, very exciting stuff happening.
Yeah, that's great. Well, you got all kinds of great stuff going on, Derek, and I want to thank you so much for coming on. And I can't believe our time is pretty much up right now, but thank you for coming on and sharing your journey, and congratulations on all your success with your content and obviously educating the masses. And what you said more than anything is you're helping people, which is huge. I mean, you've helped me today. I was making some notes as we were talking. So I want to thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you, Derek. Really, really appreciate it. And I wanted to give you a chance to give one more piece of gold because it's been amazing. Thank you. But if you had one underrated move that's helped you grow your network or business through content on LinkedIn, what would it be? We'll end there.
I think the one thing that it would be, and I'll just say this, I think LinkedIn is a place where a lot of people want to get on and flex their credibility. They want to flex their knowledge. They want to show how credible they are. And I would just advise people not to fall into that trap. Because as soon as you do that, then it's like really what it comes down to, the way you grow your network. And then granted, you want to have your face out there, and you want to be able to have people be able to know who you are and trust you. But where you're going to see the most growth is by having the mindset of, I am going to provide as much value to these people, to my audience, as I possibly can. And if you think that the majority of the audience on LinkedIn are people that are trying to flex their credibility and flex their knowledge, if you give them the opportunity to do that, you're going to blow up. And really, that's kind of in my mindset, is try to give value to these people and try to give them a platform to be able to show their expertise. And it starts such great conversations and really gets things going. So that's really my one tidbit, is provide value, and don't be too full of yourself. Make sure that there's something that can give other people kind of the spotlight. because really that's what it comes down to. That's how you're going to get more people in the door.
Very, very well said. And with that, thank you so much again, Derek, for coming on and giving all those great nuggets and all that great information. Really appreciate it.
It's been an honor. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Derek.